Okay, so to make lasagna, I've got broccoli cut up, and I've also got the stalk, and I've also done that very finely, as you can see, very finely, and that's all washed. I have spring onions, I've got courgettes here, I have celery, yellow pepper, red pepper, spinach, ginger that was defrosted, and cheese. And so that's the first step. Everything's been cut and washed, and now it's just to put it onto the wok and add soup to it. So I've got my tray ready that will put my lasagna sheets on. I've got my lasagna sheets here, and I've got my tomato soups here. Normally I put 2 cans, but because I'm making 2 portions, I'll just add an extra. I don't have 4 tomato cans, I've got 1 mushroom. So I'm just gonna add it together, and it'll taste nice regardless because it'll have a bit of mushroom pieces in, which I love mushrooms. Yeah. I'm gonna start the gas. I'm gonna put some oil in the wok. So not a lot, I don't tend to put a lot of oil in. So that'll be enough. I'm gonna let the pan heat, and then gonna add my ginger and then add my vegetables. Okay, and then once that's cooked, I'll add my soup, add my spices, and then I'll start to layer. Once the ginger or garlic, whichever you prefer to put, in my case I've put ginger in, and once that starts to go a bit brown or sort of slightly roasted, you can add your vegetables in. Whichever takes the longest or longer time to cook, add that first and add the remaining accordingly. So I'm going to begin with putting my courgettes, celery and broccoli in, and then afterwards, once they are done, I'll add in my spring onions, I'll add in my peppers and spinach. Once your broccoli starts to go a bit green or greener, you know it's ready, or it's being cooked, so then you can add your next vegetables in. Also, you can choose whichever vegetables you feel like. You don't have to stick with just the ones that I've listed. Also, I like to cut them very thin, so you can see that the broccoli is kind of on the thinner side, so that it can be laid in the lasagna, and so is the celery, so it's thinly cut because it has to be placed in the lasagna. So just be mindful of that. Okay, it appears that this is cooked enough for me to add my spinach. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it a stir, and then what I'll do is I'll add a little bit of water and then cover it with this so that the steam will cook it instead of me having to stir it often. We choose the lazy way or the quickest and most efficient way. And then I'll add these because you want a bit of crunch in your lasagna, so I'll keep them, I'll put them right at the end so that you get a bit of crunch. Okay, so I've mixed my spinach, and that's been mixed, and then I've just added the spring onions and the peppers, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of warm water. Okay, just so everything's fully cooked, and I'm just gonna add my cover afterwards on here. And then give it a few minutes, and then if you want in that time, you can do your dishes, or you can just do anything else in the meantime, so maybe 2-3 minutes, and then it should be ready to, add your soup. So let's have a look how it looks right now. You can see it looks quite fully done, and it's nice and healthy because we've not added anything else but the vegetables. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add these soup cans in there, and then let it simmer. Let the soup, boil with the vegetables, and then layer it up. Just pouring the soup in. Make sure you clean the lid at the top before you, pull the cover. I know it looks a bit odd, but it'll be fine, I promise. Okay, now that's done. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of milk in them because you can see there's a lot in there and we don't like to waste. And also we want this to be a bit thin so that it can be layered up with the vegetables. Give it a shake and just pour it in. So this is 3 cans of tomato soup and 1 can of mushroom soup. So you can see it's quite nice and orangey. So we're going to let it boil. And I've also added a little milk, as you saw in the cans. I'm now going to turn on the oven so that it's ready. So I'm going to turn it on to the oven at, let's do 200. Nearly everything is done on eye measurement, so do as you seem fit, but this is what the ingredients that go in. Now we're going to add the spices in. So we have red chili powder, salt, pepper. Now this is what my parents brought from Italy, and it's like dried pesto, and it's amazing. Add it to any Italian dish and it tastes gorgeous. And then this is some red chili flakes. I'm just going to add however quantity you want into this, and it's easy to stir when it's liquid. That's why I add it right at the end. If you want to add Mediterranean herbs, you can do now. Here I'm making sure all the seasonings are well mixed. Okay, the next step from here is spray your tray that you're going to layer your lasagna in with oil. So you can spray oil and then get a spoonful of liquid from your pasta sauce. Put the liquid in and spread it on your tray so your bottom layer of your lasagna doesn't stick to the base, and you can actually cut the lasagna. And this will also prevent the bottom layer being sticky and chewy. So you can see I've layered my lasagna sheets there. In the square tray, I had to break the lasagna sheets to make sure it fits the tray. However, you can do it however you wish to make sure it fits your tray. And here I am picking up a spoonful of the sauce, putting 1 spoonful on each lasagna sheet. Once that's done, I'm going to use my brush to spread the sauce on the lasagna sheet. It's a bit liquidy, more than I would have hoped, but it's fine. Now the aim is to make sure all the bits on the lasagna sheet is covered so that it doesn't go dry, because when it goes dry it can become very chewy and crispy, even almost burnt from the bottom, so we don't want that. Okay, so we've got the first layer done. We've got the first layer done there as well. I've put the sauce on here. If you wish, you can put cheese on top. I prefer mozzarella and cheddar, a mix of both. Again, it's up to you whether you want to put cheese or not. Okay, so for us, this much cheese is enough, only because you're going to have a few more layers, and each layer you're going to have, you're going to sprinkle some cheese over. And then what I like to do is on the final layer, I like to put a little bit more cheese and have it a little brown it up, only because it tastes nicer and it looks nicer that way too. Now we're ready to put the next layer of lasagna sheet on. So these are a bit broken, but that's all right. It's going to go in our belly anyways, so it's okay, not a problem. Pick a good chunk of, sauce and vegetables. And I try to make as many layers as I can do. And this is pretty much healthy because I've not really added anything bad in here, negative, health-wise, besides the cheese. Make sure you cover the corners, add some more cheese. Keep doing this until you've come to your final layer, or until you're finished with your sauce and vegetable. Okay, so this one is all fully done. There's cheese on one side, only because my friend doesn't like cheese, so she can have that side. I am gonna put foil on this and put some holes in that. This one, so the last layer is done. All I'm gonna do, put some cheese. So I've cut out the foil paper according to the tray size. I've put all the cheese on. Don't forget, this is also going to rise and inflate because there's cheese and there is pasta lasagna sheets. So I'm going to make sure I cover it even on the side, and then I'll poke some holes. So you can see the holes I've done with a fork all around. Just to mention that sometimes, because tomato soup can be a bit not on the sweeter side, if you wanted to sweeten it up, you can always add ketchup to it in the sauce. I forgot that step, so it might not be as sweet as I would have hoped. The oven for 45 minutes and then it's ready to eat. Okay, so now we wait for 45 minutes, then it'll be ready to be taken out of the oven, chilled on the rack for a bit, and then let it cool down, and then we can dig in. In the meantime, you can enjoy yourself with a drink or do your dishes or whatever. So 45 minutes, I've put it at 200, I think. Again, I'm not a professional chef or baker or lasagna maker, so make a recipe as your own, but this is how I make it. Now I'm opening the oven to have a look at the lasagna. I can see it bubble and I can see it's risen. When you open the foil, be careful because it will be hot with steam. When I cut the lasagna, I prefer to use a pizza cutter. I know it's very unconventional, but it's so much easier to cut it and the slices come out neater. Now this is a struggle when you are trying to take the pieces out, so do be careful when you are pulling it out because the tray will be hot and you can easily burn your fingers. And this is how it looks. Well, I hope you enjoyed the way that I make the recipe, how I make the lasagna. If you have any ways that I can improve on it, or if you've made it, do let me know. Bye.